Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and we are going to take a quick look at 5 relatively new Wii knives. This is 5 fast reviews. And this one here is an honorable mention because as it is made by Wii, it's considered a Ferrum Forge knife. This is the Ferrum Forge Archbishop 3.0. I was really excited to see this one come out because I already have the Wii Malice. And by the way, this is not my new camera or microphone. It's going to take me a couple days to figure out how to work everything, and upload and edit and all that good stuff. So we're going to stick with my old camera and, everything for right now, but we will soon be transitioning. Now, I probably won't be uploading as much over the next couple days because of that reason, but, we'll see how it goes. Either way, I'm working hard to get it into action. But this is my Wii Malice. This is a discontinued knife, and this is also a Ferrum Forge design. And you can see, how similar they are. And I do love them both. This one is a bit bigger and a bit beefier. Oh, man, but I really, really love this knife. But you can't get it no more unless you get it on the secondary market. This one, it just recently sold out, I believe, but you might still be able to find them. I know when I seen them sold out, I still found a couple places that was selling them. So awesome knife. Like I said, Ferrum Forge design, 20 CV, titanium frame lock. My biggest complaint on this is the clip, but there are a few clips that work on it. You can use the TRM clips, which is probably what I'm going to use. And then there's a few other options like the Kubi Raven. That clip works on here. Here's a quick look at it with the Kubi Raven clip. So I got the Kubi Raven here, and I put the clip on it. It does fit fairly well, and this does kind of follow the angle, and it actually increases the acoustics a little bit. Just a little bit. If I'm touching it, it doesn't. For the TRM clip, I used the TRM Shadow. The Atom did not work. So the Neutron might work, but the Atom did not. The groove on the bottom of the clip is just not big enough. It would have to be cut out for the screws. And then the screws from the TRM did not fit from the TRM Atom. But the TRM Shadow screws and clip did fit the Archbishop 3.0. Now, the downfall is it doesn't look as good as the milled titanium clip that Ferrum Forge provides, but the Ferrum Forge clip doesn't work as good. So there are going to be some trade-offs. Also, in the hand, it's not as comfortable. It does land kind of in a bad spot. So it's not as comfortable as the original clip, but it does function better. So, you just kind of got to pick your battles and your trade-off. But they're easy to get, and you can get TRM clips for like 20 bucks off of their website. So you do have options to, to use on this. But since this one is not on the list, let's get started with the actual list. And we're going to start this off with the Wii Snick. Now, the Wii Snick is a straight clip point blade, as you can see. And it is also in 20 CV steel. Now, we have a shred carbon fiber over the titanium, T8 hardware all the way around, and a reversible deep carry clip. I love the stone washed, how it's stone washed from head to toe basically, and the blade steel matches the titanium. It is a very comfortable knife. While I feel the clip a little bit, the highest point my hand doesn't really contact, so it winds up working out pretty good. I can use this spot right here to choke up to, and the jimping is very effective. Nice and slicey, and the action, or should I say the lock bar, is really nice because you see that texturing they put right there? That texturing offers quite a bit of traction. So you have a nice spot to unlock it, and it's very smooth on the drop. Now, the detent on this example is extremely well done. I really like the detent on this. It's very stiff. The jimping on the flipper tab is aggressive enough to where you're not going to slip, and it fires like a rocket. Now the drop on it isn't fall shut, but it's definitely very smooth and you can easily drop it down. I can also reverse flick because of the heavy stone washing. Great knife. I do wish there was another deployment option on it, and you know, it is going to be a more slimmer design. So while it's a great cutter, great slicer, great user, it's not going to be something you're probably going to hard use or anything like that, but it will be great as a basic EDC. Now the 20 CV, in my opinion, Wii does a really good job with their heat treat and their grinds. Probably their grinds even more. Now that's usually, there are some exceptions, but I'm always impressed with their level of quality. Next is the Roxy, the Wii Roxy 3. This one has been extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. I should have gotten one, and I wish I would have. Maybe there might be some still left, so maybe I should search it out, because I thought that they were sold out, but I think there might be actually some left, and you might still be able to get them. But you can easily use this left-handed without a problem at all. The clip rides mostly up the handles. I love the way the hardware looks. We have T8 hardware all the way around, and it has that nice bronze look to it. I love the lock bar stabilizer. Basically, that stops you from unspringing the lock, you know, when you constantly unlock it. And Wii's hardware is extremely good quality. It's titanium hardware, but they harden it, so it's very solid, and I've always been impressed with their hardware. So the size of this knife, it's not big, but it's not small. It's just a great EDC size. I can get a full 4-finger grip. And yeah, back here, it's very uncomfortable because of all these corners in the clip, but I don't know anybody who would use it really like this. You're going to use it like this, and in that case it winds up becoming more comfortable, and in the grips that you're actually going to use it with, the pinch grips and things like that, it's very, very comfortable. The blade shape is designed, you know, a Wharncliffe blade shape is designed for, you know, utility uses and for detailing work, basically, you know, cutting things out and, you know, opening things up, you know, basic EDC stuff, but it still works out great for regular slicing purposes. And in the reverse grip for like popping straps, you can actually get your hand all the way around there and get up nice and tight to the blade. So, and it's actually pretty comfortable like this. Back here, maybe not, but right here, it's really comfortable. The geometry, not the thinnest, but right behind the edge is nice and thin. So while the blade stock is a little bit more robust and the grind of the blade isn't super thin, the behind the edge is. So that definitely helps encourage good slicing. Access to the lock bar, really, really nice. Very, very smooth on the drop. The detent is so well tuned on this. Now, this is not the kind of jimping I like, but sometimes it just winds up working out. In this case, it works out great. And I do wish they would have went around the flipper tab all the way and had the finer jimping, but it's not even a big deal. It works out just fine. And the thumb flick, also really good. The hole just winds up landing in such a perfect spot, and even though I can flip it out like that, you know, so it makes it seem like the detent's lighter, but it's not. This is a very, very well-tuned detent. Super snappy, and it feels expensive. It really does. It feels like a good quality knife. And it looks good, too. Next, we have the Wii Beacon. One of my favorites as of recently, especially that I own, because this one I do own, and I think I paid $200 for it. 20 CV, stonewashed, anodized titanium. They do have a couple other options. Now, This is not a super thin grind, but it's also not thick at all. So this is like that happy medium grind where it's going to be super slicey, but still not to the point to where it's fragile. The handle is very slim, so it's super easy to carry in the pocket, and in the hand it does feel slim, but it's broad enough to be comfortable. So especially when you use this spot up here. So cutting with it and using it, it works great as an EDC knife. As a work knife, maybe not, but as an EDC knife, you know, just cutting regular stuff, as long as you're not holding your knife long term, this is that's why I'm loving it so much, because it's so easy to use. It has a very simple design that winds up being very versatile and working for so many things. You can easily do the detailing work. You have a little bit of belly if you are going to like cut rope and things like that. You have enough flat area here for push cuts and, you know, cutting straps and, you know, whatever. But it's such a simple design that's why it's so useful. You know, everybody knows this design, everybody knows how to use this design, and it's very common, but they did it in a really good way. And I like that the action is really, really good. Very, very smooth. We have this fuller here that works extremely, extremely well. Super easy to reverse flick. The detent on it is very well tuned, and I noticed my detent only got better over time. And sometimes that's just you getting used to it, but I thought when I first deployed it that it was a little bit on the lighter side, but I've noticed over time it is not at all. This is extremely well tuned. Even when I try to fail it, I mean, it still deploys. Can I fail it? Yeah, but I have to, you know, really, really try. You can thumb flick it as well. And like I said, very smooth on the drop. Nice and centered. I have sharpened it, and one of my complaints after sharpening, I put a really nice edge on there, and it's a little dirty right now, but it's sharpened up extremely well, aside from one thing. Now, the steel felt good. On the stone, sharpened up really good. No problems there. But if you look down here, and I just raved about how good they do their grinds, and that's why I said usually, because in this case, they did make a mistake on the grind, just slightly. So right here, only on this side, this is off just a little bit, and you can see I did not finish sharpening it right there at the heel of the blade, because it's my knife. I'm going to sharpen it again. It's going to get another edge, and on another edge, or on the next edge, I will sharpen it out. But there was no reason for me to remove excess steel just to get that little tiny part when it's going to wind up being sharpened again. On this side, it was just fine. And it did come out really good, aside from that spot on the heel that is a little bit thicker than on the other side. So it just is what it is. I don't know if the grinding, when they're grinding it, it went a little deeper there, or if it didn't go as deep. That might be the thing, because it is a little thicker. Now, no milling on the inside or anything like that, so no weight relief. Access to the lock bar. They did give you some texture right there, which is really nice, and they gave you texture on both sides on the outside. I'm really liking this knife. I've noticed that I don't want to get it out of the pocket. I keep putting it in the pocket because, like I said before, simple design, very useful, easy to carry. It has all the good things I want in a knife. Next is, oh, you know what? While we're talking about the Beacon, really quick, this is a discontinued Wii knife, the Deacon. So we have the Beacon and the Deacon. This is a design I wish they would have never gotten rid of, but they discontinued it. It was a little bit more money than the Beacon. This one was $200, this was $250. But man, this is such a great little EDC knife. I think they should totally bring this back, maybe in a little bit larger size or something, maybe just with some small changes. But we have a crown spine, S35VN. They could upgrade the steel, carbon fiber, titanium hardware. Beautiful, beautiful design, and the action is really good. Now, last we have, or not last, next we have the Wii Sear, because we have one more knife after this. The Wii Sear. Now, this is one of those limited edition ones where they only do so many of each version. So you'll see here, this is 276 out of 420. So they make 420 pieces out of each color. So this exact one, there's 420 pieces of, but the other colors, there's other, There's 420 pieces of the other colors too. Action, very good. Detent, extremely snappy, very well tuned. Now it's not fall shut, but it's smooth. Now it could definitely be a little smoother, but man, that detent kicks. I love the hand satin finish on the blade. Looks really good on this 20 CV blade. Very simple blade shape, drop point blade that gives you enough length for, some good work. Now, it is flat scales, but you'll notice this little chamfers on the edges, which actually makes it feel semi-contoured, just a little bit. So this is definitely a comfortable knife in the hand, whether you're choked up or back here, at least in my opinion, especially for such a slim handle. This chamfering or whatever you want to call it, the milling that they did right here definitely improved the ergos. Beautiful finger choil / sharpening choil. You can get up nice and tight to the blade, for some closer work. Access to the lock bar. It's not the best, but it's okay. I wish they would have put some texturing on it like they did the other models that we just shown, but they didn't. They actually left it just bead blasted. So the bead blasting, it's fine. It's not an issue, but it could be. It could have some texture. The jimping on the flipper tab works really good, especially with the strong detent. We do have a reversible deep carry titanium pocket clip that I wish they would come up with a new pocket clip style. They used to use the milled ones, and on their Fair and Forged designs, they definitely use milled ones, but on their in-house designs, they're not. So, and these are in-house designs. I wish they would do something about that. But they work really good. So that is one thing. They definitely work really good. But awesome knife. It does work really good. It does cut really good. I haven't cut a lot of stuff with this one, but I did carry it 1 or 2 days, just cutting little stuff around the house. And it's definitely one that I could see being very similar to like the Beacon, where it's just a nice simple design that's going to work great for everyday carry and just regular EDC stuff. The one thing I like about the Beacon a little bit more is that I have the reverse flick option here. And this one is super smooth on the drop. So far different when it comes to the action and feel. Next is the Smooth Sentinel. So the Wii Smooth Sentinel is more of a smaller, compact knife, 20 CV titanium with carbon fiber inlays, and then we have the same pocket clip like we were talking about earlier. Now this one uses T6s, or at least, it's only got one screw, so aside from the pivot, which I'd rather see a T8, but it is a small, compact knife with a very simple design. I think it's very similar to the Civivi bow, which if you look at the Civivi bow blade shape and this one, they're basically the same blade shape. So it's very similar to that, and it's nice and slim, just like the bow with a nice thin edge. So this is going to be very, very slicey. While the clip might be, a little bit of a hot spot in the hand because how it tapers down to a thin point down here and the clip stands up so proudly, it's not going to be that big of a deal because the things you're using this knife for are basic, simple tasks. So it's not a big deal. The detent is well tuned with this jimping and flipper tab and does work good. I do kind of wish it was a little bit more snappy, but it's just fine. And, it's not gonna, you're not gonna miss a deployment, especially knowing the detent. And I think even if you didn't know the detent, you would never miss miss a deployment. Now, when you unlock it, the lock bar access, it does have chamfers on both sides, but it is a little tighter than some of the other knives. It's still easy to get to, but I do wish for a little bit more access. Not fall shutty at all. Well, you can swing it shut, but just letting it drop, it is a very light blade, and the lock bar has a little bit more strength to it, so that pressure is going to slow it down a little bit more. The 20 CV steel, again, is going to be pretty good, especially from Wii's heat treats. And with the geometry, that should also help as well. Being so thin behind the edge, it will sharpen up really good, and it did come with a nice sharp edge. This is another one I did not use a lot, but I've reviewed a lot of knives to kind of know how this is going to work out, and it is very solid. And I did cut a couple things with it, you know, just to kind of test it out, and carried it around the house, you know, for a day, but nothing I really put too much attention towards. I haven't had it really too long, and it's, yeah, I can tell, you know, already, you know, it's a good little knife, and there's nothing bad about it, nothing wrong with it, just nothing that really jumps out to me as, well, it's not really my style. That's one thing. It's not my style. You know, if you love the look of this thing, then go for it, man. It's a good little knife. I'm just not a big fan of the way it looks, so that might be something that's holding me back personally. But you know, looks are in the eye of the beholder, so. But I love that it's Wii. I think Wii does really good quality, and I'm always excited to see what Wii has next. They happen to be, it's one of my favorite overseas companies, and they deal with a lot of USA designers and a lot of, you know, USA custom makers, and that, you know, I like that too. And the one thing I really like about them, well, a couple things. One, their heat treats have always improved over time and have gotten really, you know, really good in my opinion. Next thing is that their grinds are nice. Usually, I know we discussed this one, but they're usually very even. And that is something that's extremely important to me. You know, a Wii knife, I always say, you know, when you're, with most of them, obviously not all of them, but with most Wii knives, if you're just getting into sharpening, a Civivi or a Wii knife is what you want to start with. Their grinds are usually nice and thin behind the edge, very easy to sharpen. The heat treats are usually pretty good, and you're usually guaranteed to get good results compared to a lot of other companies, which grinds might be super thick and their heat treats might not be as good. So, you know, sometimes that's why you pay a little bit more, right? But there you guys go. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.